Patterns of settlement. Migration is when people move from one place to another. Immigrants are people who leave their country and settle in a different country. Thousands of immigrants came to America during the colonial era of the 1600s and 1700s. Scientists use the push-pull theory to explain immigration. People migrate because situations push them to leave. Other factors like religious freedom and free land can pull people into a country. River settlements. Many of the first settlements in early America were near water. At first, colonists built towns along the east coast. As settlers moved inland, they built towns along rivers and other waterways. Rivers and lakes were important trade and travel routes. Water was used for drinking and farming. The flat, fertile soil near rivers was good for farming. Rivers created natural boundaries between territories and hunting grounds. Rivers that shaped America. The Mississippi River is the largest and most important river in North America. It stretches from Lake Itasca, Minnesota, to the Gulf of Mexico. It also divides the East and West. The Mississippi has played an important part in the exploration and economic development of the continent. Each year it carries more freight than any other inland waterway in the country. Thousands of years of erosion and deposits from the river enrich the Mississippi Valley with rich, fertile soils. Many different Native American groups lived along the banks of the Mississippi. These groups farmed, fished, and used the Mississippi to trade with other groups. Later, the French founded New Orleans, Louisiana, and St. Louis, Missouri, as well as other cities on the river. The Hudson River runs mainly through New York State and forms a boundary between New York and New Jersey. At its southern end, the Hudson empties into the Atlantic Ocean, forming New York Harbor. The Hudson was named after Henry Hudson, an Englishman who explored the river in 1609. Early Europeans built settlements along the river, which quickly became an important trade route. In 1825, the Erie Canal was completed. The canal connected the Hudson River with Lake Erie. This canal allowed shipping between cities on the Great Lakes in Europe, through the Hudson River and the Atlantic Ocean. In Massachusetts, the Charles River separates Boston from Cambridge and Charleston. The river runs for 80 miles before emptying into Boston Harbor. The Charles River is the most densely populated river basin in New England. Native Americans depended on the river for transportation and fishing. Later, Americans began to use the river as a power source. Water and power were used to run mills and factories that were built along the river. In 1805, the Middlesex Canal joined the Mystic and Merrimack Rivers in Lowell, Massachusetts. The canal helped the region north of Boston to grow. During the 1800s, the Mystic River became famous for its shipbuilding industries. Tennessee settlements. In the mid-1700s, Tennessee was considered the wild western frontier. In 1769, a group of Virginians built the first permanent settlement in Tennessee near the Watauga River. The state is divided into 3 grand divisions of Tennessee. Each region has different landforms. East Tennessee is mountainous. Travel through mountain ranges such as the Great Smoky Mountains was difficult. At first, people settled in this area of Tennessee. Much of the region is covered by forest and hardwood trees such as oak, maple, beech, and walnut. The rocky soil was difficult to farm. However, just west of the Smoky Mountains is the Great Valley. Tobacco grew well in the fertile soil of this area. East Tennessee also includes the Cumberland Plateau. The plateau is part of the Appalachian Highlands. The Cumberland Plateau is rich in minerals. Many early settlers made their way to the Central Basin, or Nashville Basin, of Middle Tennessee. Fort Nashboro was established around 1800. This settlement would grow to become Nashville, the capital of Tennessee. Reaching Fort Nashboro was difficult. Settlers had to cross the Appalachian Mountains. Therefore, this area grew slowly at first. Large farms or plantations were established in and around the fertile Central Basin. The soil was good for growing cotton. Farmers grew tobacco as well as cotton on the Highland Rim. This region surrounds the Central Basin. West Tennessee stretches across the floodplains of the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River forms the western border of Tennessee. The heat, humidity, and flat land made cotton an important crop in this area. Cotton plantations were built throughout the region. However, these lowlands were often damp for long periods of time. Mosquitoes spread diseases that often sickened people in the communities. Number 1. Why were rivers such as the Hudson important to the early settlers? A. In winter, settlers could cross the frozen ice. B. Settlers used the river for travel and trade. C. The rivers form natural boundaries. D. All the rivers were connected to canals. Number 2. What effect did the region's landforms have on the settlement of East Tennessee? A. The mountains slowed the settlement of the region. B. The mountains had no effect on the settlement of the region. C. The mountains made it easier to settle in the region. D. None of the above. Number 3. What is the push-pull theory of immigration? A. The government forces a person to leave the country. B. A person cannot decide if moving is the right thing to do. C. Certain factors can either push or pull a person to a new place. D. A person does not have a way to migrate. Number 4. What are the 3 grand divisions of Tennessee? A. North, Middle, and South. B. East, West, and Northeast. C. North, West, and Southwest. D. East, Middle, and West.